much for coming tonight to our university panel. My name is Camilla Wheelis, and I have the pleasure of introducing you to our panelists tonight. Welcome, new members. We have the pleasure of offering programs like this one, along with events, tours, scholarships, and more. So please be sure to check our website to stay up to date. We are going to have our Q&A window open throughout the entire session. So if you do have any questions for our panelists as they are presenting, please be sure to submit them there. Our panelists will answer questions after they have all presented. We are going to be hearing first from Rick Clark with Georgia Tech. Then we will hear from Jamaica Williams with UCLA. Then we will hear from Derek Nido with Vanderbilt University. After Mr. Nido, we will then hear from Grant Gosson with Boston College. And lastly, we will hear from Alicia Creighton with UC Berkeley. Once again, thank you all so much for joining us tonight. And I will go ahead and hand the floor over to Rick Clark with Georgia Tech. Rick, if you'd please share your screen.
All right, so confirming that you are seeing my screen.
Yes, Rick, we can see your screen. Okay,
perfect, great. Well, good evening to everybody, or afternoon, perhaps, depending on where you are. So glad that you took some time, and bonus points to you for doing that in July. We are looking forward to the conversation. Georgia Tech, where I am currently sitting, is under a major weather warning right now. So we would not call this your best view book day, but located in Midtown Atlanta. Here we want to just kind of talk to you a little bit about who we are, what might make you a good fit for Georgia Tech. Our motto here is progress and service, and I think that really does speak to the kind of student that we're looking for. Georgia Tech is a place that is created to kind of look ahead and look towards solving problems, to pull in students that want to collaborate with one another and essentially kind of make the world a better place. And so this concept of progress and service is not something we embrace, not only something we embrace for our current students, but certainly in our admission process as well. A little bit of what we're looking for is this idea that students have been having an impact and an influence on people around them. In terms of just the numbers and giving you a sense of size and scope, we are, I guess, what you would call a mid-sized public school, about 18,000 total undergrads. Georgia Tech, when you include graduate students and others, is somewhere in the mid-40s overall. But really proud of the fact that the students that we are enrolling are succeeding. You can see that with retention rates. I think as you go out and speak with schools around the country, it's a great question to ask. How are students doing on your campus, and are they staying? And if they're leaving, why? The national retention rate is for four-year universities around 67%. And so, 2 out of every 3 students on average come back for their second year at a particular university. So Georgia Tech doing really well in that regard, and trying to support the students that we are enrolling. As you can see, not all things to all people, 37 majors. And so Georgia Tech is pretty lean in that regard. We, have programs that a lot of you probably are familiar with, like engineering and computer science, but then also extremely strong programs in business, liberal arts, sciences, and architecture. There's a wide variety here, but certainly not as many as a lot of the colleagues on the line tonight are going to share with you. I think this is a positive thing for us. Our approach to this over time has essentially been, does the world need it? And do we think we can do it better than everybody else? And if the answer to that is yes, then that is kind of how we move forward. So the most recently added major this coming year is environmental science, which Georgia Tech's really been in the business of on the grad side and in other spheres, but is adding as a bachelor's degree. So if you are interested in that particular major, it is now also available through Georgia Tech. Outside of the just pure academics, again, kind of just from a numbers standpoint, what this really speaks to, and again, the schools represented here tonight, I'm sure we'll share this as well. We want you to come to our campuses and not just be a student, but to be involved on the campus. That's part of, what we're looking for in the admission process and what we hope you'll continue, obviously through your affiliation already with the National Society of High School Honor Scholars. You've demonstrated that. We also kind of take the approach that college shouldn't just be about focusing on 4 years, but focusing on the 40 years after college. And so, we want students to work on starting companies. We want students to go abroad, whether that be to work or to study, to build your network. And so we are not really about making sure you're out of here in 4 years. We want to make sure when you graduate, whether that be in 3, 4, 5 years, that you're prepared. So a lot of students are doing co-ops and internships, study abroad, et cetera, in order to accomplish that. And a lot has been changing in our neighborhood. So again, as I said earlier, we're in Midtown Atlanta. A lot of Fortune 500 companies right here. A lot of big companies are putting their innovation centers. If I turned to my camera and it wasn't raining and looked out the window in my office, you could see the Coca-Cola headquarters. And then just right here in this main Midtown area, you've got a lot of big companies that are here for a reason. So most recently, Google and Microsoft putting huge logos, literally shining their lights over Georgia Tech so that they can continue to attract talent. So if you come to Georgia Tech without a question, when you're done, you're going to have job opportunities and a great return on investment. This is a picture of a car. If you're looking to make an A in high school presentations, you always need that. In terms of what are we looking for and what are we looking at, I assume we'll get into this in the Q&A, and you'll probably hear something very similar from a lot of my colleagues. The one exception to that is test scores. So Georgia Tech does require test scores. This is a policy that the University System of Georgia puts in place. To be honest with you, that is by no means the driving part of our decision. But it is part of what is required. We're going to put a lot more focus on what did you take, how did you do, and what are you doing outside the classroom. But good to know that these are some of the things that we are looking at. At the end of the day, institutional fit is probably the biggest driver in how we make admission decisions. Most students who apply here are smart. Most students who apply here are doing great things outside of the classroom. But who we are as an institution and how we're trying to match up those goals with your goals is really how admission decisions are made, and definitely happy to talk more about how that all plays out. In terms of our timeline, October 17th, which sounds kind of random, is the residence early action. So if you're from Georgia or if you're a Georgia student living abroad or elsewhere and you want to apply early action, October 17th. This is because we do not have deadlines on weekends and we do not have deadlines on holidays. And then if you are from outside the state of Georgia and want to apply early action, November 1st, we turn decisions around, as you can see well, actually, I guess it's not really there, but for Georgia early action before the winter break, late January, put decisions back out for early action 2. And then everyone else who applies by January 4th gets a decision in mid-March. So that's a little bit of our timeline. In terms of return on investment, Georgia Tech students, as I said, coming out with good opportunities to earn solid starting salaries, good mid-career earnings. If you look at Money Magazine or Kiplinger's or Forbes or anyone else that is kind of running the numbers on dollars invested for dollars returned, Georgia Tech is either #1 or top few in the country. There's rankings and then there's statistics. And at Georgia Tech, we like to focus on statistics. So these are some of the different ways that students are, financing their education and coming out of Georgia Tech with as little debt as possible. And then you have a picture of an animal. So again, picture of a car, picture of an animal, surefire A. Look forward to taking your questions after my colleagues.
All right, I'll take that to mean that I am up next. So hello, everyone. My name is Jamika Williams. I'm an Assistant Director of Freshman Recruitment at UCLA. And with our brief time together today, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what we have to offer you. So if you're not familiar, UCLA is a large public institution in West Los Angeles. We're located in a neighborhood called Westwood, which we like to say is nestled in between the 3 Bs, which is going to be Beverly Hills, Brentwood, and Bel Air. So we're about 5 miles from the Pacific Ocean, so very close to both Santa Monica and Venice beaches, about 12 or so miles from downtown LA, and about 10 or so miles from Los Angeles International Airport. So as a student at the university, you really do have the larger city of LA kind of as your backyard, as your playground. So we certainly encourage our students to explore the city as well. Keep in mind, there are a few QR codes in today's presentation. So if you have a cell phone handy and are able to scan them, I would encourage you to do so to get some additional information. But starting at the top, UCLA was ranked the #1 public institution by US News World and Report for the 6th year in a row. So we're very excited about that title. We work very hard to keep it as well. And we really want to be able to afford our students a lot of opportunities. So with that comes over 125 majors and 90 or so minors that we offer at the university. And this QR code over here will take you to our majors listing and our minors, just so that way you get a better sense of what we offer at the university. But essentially, we're split into colleges and schools at the university. Our College of Letters and Science houses the vast majority of our options, including our undecided option. So it's perfectly fine to come to UCLA undecided. We don't expect you to have it all figured out at 17 or 18. Most students aren't declaring their major until towards the end of their sophomore year anyway. So you have a little bit of time to figure it out. And our College of Letters and Science will really provide you with the most flexibility up front, as we do not review by major for first-year applicants who are applying to majors within the college. So you want to keep that in mind as well. However, we do offer specialty and professional schools at the university, including our School of Arts and Architecture, Engineering, Music, Nursing, and Theater and Film and Television, amongst others. We have a brand new School of Public Affairs. We offer education studies. So there's going to be a wide variety that's available to you. We do have students who double major, major and minor, major double minor. However, students are only going to be declaring one major on their UC application for review. So keep that in mind as well. Other things to keep into consideration about UCLA. We are a residential campus at the university. However, we do not require first-year students to live on campus. However, we have a residential area of campus known as the Hill, because it is indeed up a hill. However, there are a lot of educational and social benefits to living on the Hill as well, like our living learning communities and our faculty and residence program. As of this fall, we are able to guarantee all 4 years of on-campus housing for our first-year students and 2 years of housing for our transfer students. And that's something we're especially excited about. As I'm sure you know, housing can be at a premium in Los Angeles. So we're excited to have that opportunity for our students. We're also very excited about the diversity and the vitality of our campus. Los Angeles has the 5th largest economy in the world. It also has a lot of diversity, and we really want to be able to showcase that on our campus as well. We recognize that many parents and guardians send their student off to college with the idea that they're going to become more well-rounded, to have the opportunity to learn, grow, and be challenged by folks who share a different viewpoint than themselves. So you're not only going to see that diversity reflected in our student population at the university, but also our faculty and staff. In fact, over a third of our students on campus are first-generation students. About 68% of our students graduate with no student loan debt at all. So you do want to keep in mind there are various opportunities for scholarships at the university as well. and we boast a 92% graduation rate for our students. If you're not familiar, UCLA is a Research One institution. We receive about $1 billion in research funding every year. So at any given time, there are about 5,000 research projects happening on campus, and research is something that you can get involved in as early as your first year. There are 2 undergraduate research centers on campus that help students identify and apply for available research opportunities. So you're going to have a little bit of help with that process as well. There's lots to get involved in extracurricularly as well at the university. I like to say everybody who's applying to UCLA is smart. It's not enough to just be smart. We want to know how else you're going to enrich our academic community as well. So we boast over 1,000 clubs and organizations on our campus, in addition to athletics. So there's going to be a lot of variety available to you as well. In terms of the application process, we do utilize the UC application. So it is important to know that we are not a common application or coalition application school. You can only apply to our university utilizing the UC application. However, the benefits of that are that it's kind of like the common application of the UC system. So you have the opportunity to apply to all 9 UC undergraduate campuses through one singular application. So our sister campus, Berkeley, is on the line. So again, you can apply to both of us utilizing that same application. However, you do want to keep in mind that we're not early action or early decision, and you typically can only apply to us in the fall of your senior year. Unless you're coming to us as a transfer student, then there are some differences there. But in terms of the UC application itself, this slide just goes over the sections of the application. It is important to know that the UC application is a self-advocating application. We do not track demonstrated interest. You can't add hyperlinks. You can't add attachments. It's really just about what's on your application. So the more you put into your application, the more we can consider when we're reviewing you for admission. And you should also keep in mind that what you enter into the UC application goes as is to all of the UC campuses that you select. So you aren't able to modify and change things per campus, with the exception of the major option, just because all 9 campuses do not offer the same set of majors. You also want to keep in mind that UCLA is test-free. We do not require SAT or ACT scores for admission or scholarship purposes. Moving into the review process itself, we are holistic review at the university. So we're looking at more than just your grades. We're also very much looking at those things you're doing outside of the classroom, those life challenges. All of those are factored into our review process. So as part of the holistic review process, your application is going to be read at least twice by 2 separate people. So no one person is going to decide whether or not you're admitted to UCLA. We're also going to be reviewing you within the context of your high school. We like to say we're comparing apples to apples, not apples to oranges. So the only other folks who have had the same academic and social opportunities as you are going to be other students from your high school, not the school across state, across town, across the country, across the world, just the students at your high school. You should also keep in mind that for some of our specialty and professional schools, there are additional supplemental applications in addition to the UC application. So you want to pay attention to that as well. If you're selecting a program that requires a supplemental application, you are going to have an extra step to your process. And you should also note that your supplemental application is only going to be read by faculty and staff within that particular specialty or professional school. Oh, sorry about that. Here's a brief timeline of our application process. Again, you can only, we're not early action or early decision, so the application will open August 1st. However, you have any time between October 1st and November 30th to submit your application. We don't care if it's 12 o'clock on October 1st or 11:59 on November 30th. You just want to make sure that you're submitted by the 30th. And we can go into more details later. Again, we are transfer friendly. About 1/3 of our students at the university are transfer students. So that's still a very viable option if you're not sure you want to come to us right away. And then to close out, I do have my contact information. I would encourage you to take a picture of this slide. You can also scan that QR code on the left-hand side. That'll take you to our Linktree page. We'll provide you with additional resources like our publication library, opportunities to connect with our office or to learn more about when we have upcoming events. But to close out, thank you again for your time, and I will pass it over to Derek at Vanderbilt to tell you a little bit more.
All right. Awesome. Thank you so much. And thanks to all of you for joining us this evening. I'm so glad to be here in front of you and to share a little bit more about Vanderbilt University. Vanderbilt University was really founded on the idea of healing a divided nation after the Civil War. And we really kind of surround ourselves around three kind of particular principles as part of our mission statement. The first of this idea of collaboration and collectively striving to succeed. It is a competitive process to get into our university. It is highly selective, but once students make their way to our university, they are immediately thrust into a collaborative environment where they are going to learn to work with other people to solve the world's problems. Second idea is this idea of learning through diverse points of view. We really value diversity at Vanderbilt. It is one of the paramounts, one of the mission statements that we hold very near and dear to us. And we really believe that students coming not only from different racial and ethnic backgrounds, but from all different types of socioeconomic backgrounds in different parts of the world, different parts of the country, rural, suburban, urban backgrounds, are all going to benefit from learning in a diverse classroom environment. And then last but not least, with this idea of balance, we really believe that there is learning to be done both in and out of the classroom, and that you as a student should have a life both in and out of the classroom as well. So with all of that, today, Vanderbilt University, we are celebrating our 150th year anniversary. We were founded in 1873. We have about 7,100 undergraduate students on our campus and another 6,000 to 7,000 graduate and professional school students on our campus. We are an independent private university located right in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee. There are over 10 different colleges and schools. And out of those, 4 of those are specific to undergraduate students, which I'll talk a little bit more about here in just a moment. But out of those 4 undergraduate schools, we have over 70 different majors to choose from, over 70 different minors to choose from as well. Our students are very involved on our campus and take advantage of the over 475 student organizations that we have. I mentioned earlier, we are a diverse campus. We really value diversity at Vanderbilt. I'll talk a little bit more about our community here in just a moment. But also with the idea of our campus as a whole being a little bit different. While we are located in the heart of Nashville, Tennessee, in the city, we are a National Arboretum site. So our campus is very much of a park-like setting, home to lots of wildlife. As you can see here, a 3-to-1 squirrel to student ratio. They are friendly squirrels. They get along with our students and our students get along with them. And so when you come to visit campus, you'll certainly see them all over the place when you're taking your campus tour. I mentioned those 4 undergraduate colleges at Vanderbilt, and while you apply and choose one of those colleges as your home for your coming into Vanderbilt, we really like to kind of talk about this idea of one Vanderbilt, of this idea that you are not just kind of chained to the idea of just being in the one college, taking all your classes from the one college or within your major. You really have the ability to take classes across the entire university in all 4 of our undergraduate colleges, as well as perhaps in some of our graduate and professional schools too. So our students really do enjoy that opportunity to be able to explore their interests, be able to take classes and things that are intriguing to them, and really to be able to focus on what it is that is most important to them in their educational studies without feeling like they have to stick within the confines of their own academic college. The academic experience at Vanderbilt is really kind of a paramount one. There are a couple different things that we really talk about in terms of what that academic experience is like. The first is this idea, again, of learning both in and out of the classroom. We want students to have an experience, being able to take those experiences, those things that they've learned in the classroom and apply them to somewhere outside of that. So each and every student at Vanderbilt will participate in an Immersion Vanderbilt experience or project. That project or experience is planned in their first 1 to 2 years, and they will execute that project or program in their last 2 years. This could be anything from undergraduate research to a study abroad to an internship. You have a lot of different options in which you hope to kind of have that outside experience. And you'll work with some staff that are very much honed in on that, being able to help you plan, as well as you'll work one-on-one with a faculty member to make sure that you are planning everything as well, especially if you're doing any kind of research or anything, that all your methods and all of that is sound and ready to go. Also, we have a very intimate classroom experience at Vanderbilt. Our student to faculty ratio is 8:1. Our classes are not very large. We don't have large lecture hall style classes on our campus. So you are really put into this environment where you're going to get to know your professors very well. And through that, lots of discussions in class and lots of opportunities to ask questions and really get immersed in the material that is being taught in your class. And then last but not least on here is this idea of undergraduate research, which is open to each and every undergraduate student. About 63% of our students do take advantage of undergraduate research. Most of that is done through informal means of students just having conversations with faculty members on campus, asking if they can get involved in their research and being able to kind of take a part in that. So our students really do get to enjoy that opportunity to be able to really expand their knowledge and immerse themselves in the research methods. I talked a little bit more about our community on campus, about the diversity of our community. About 45% of our students identifying as students of color. We have students from all 50 US states, including the District of Columbia, Puerto Rico, and all of the US territories. About almost 12% of our undergraduate student population are international students coming from over 70 different countries worldwide. We really believe that kind of exposing you to an environment on which the one you came from is really going to help you learn and grow as a person. And of course, for each and every student on our campus, we have lots of ways for students to get involved and further immersed in our campus through student organizations or through cultural organizations as well. We also have our wonderful identity centers on campus, which are actual physical brick and mortar buildings that serve as community centers, but also kind of points of education for students. So while you don't have to be a part of one of these communities to interact with any of the identity centers, if you're just interested in learning a little bit more about LGBTQI+ life, or perhaps learning about the Black history at Vanderbilt, you're welcome to engage with any of our identity centers, and they are always there to be able to educate, but also to help develop community and develop a sense of belonging on our campus for our students. And then I would be very remiss if I didn't talk about our energetic sports culture on our campus. Vanderbilt University is the only private institution in the Southeastern Conference, the SEC. We are also a founding member of the SEC, and that really lends it ourselves to having some really legendary sports experiences on our campus. Our students can attend any of those games as part of their tuition. There's no extra fees to attend any kind of football game, basketball game, soccer game, any of that. You really get the ability to attend all of those and watch our amazing student athletes. We also have club and intramural sports as well on our campus for you to be able to get involved as much as you would like. And then just to kind of finish up on kind of the campus and Vanderbilt as a whole, in terms of what that looks like, we always like to talk about and mention our exciting city that we live in, which is Nashville, Tennessee, one of the fastest growing cities in the United States. Nashville is a healthcare, a technology, and of course a music hub. And so you'll see all of that and all those opportunities afforded to our students as well, whether it is catching a live concert or perhaps being able to dine at one of our amazing restaurants. You'll be able to experience all of that in Nashville. As my slide was trying to preview to you, here we also like to kind of mention all the items that we evaluate as part of our admissions process. I'm not going to go into a lot of depth on all of this, but really just to kind of touch on the idea that at Vanderbilt University, we practice holistic-based contextual admissions. We are most interested in getting to know you in the environment in which you have come from and what kind of opportunities are offered to you in your own environment. We don't believe in comparing high schools. We don't also believe in comparing you to somebody who goes to school on the other side of the state, on the other side of the country, or on the other side of the world as you. We're just interested in getting to know you in the context of your own environment. Also, I should mention that we have 3 different application types that we accept at Vanderbilt. The first is the common application. We also accept the coalition application. And then third, we are a QuestBridge partner for low-income, high-achieving students. And then just to briefly touch on our application deadlines and dates. So at Vanderbilt, we have 2 different types of application decisions, either early decision or regular decision. Early decision at Vanderbilt is a binding agreement, meaning that you know that Vanderbilt is the best fit for you personally academically, culturally, and financially without any merit-based aid. If you check yes to all those questions, then we invite you to apply to us as an early decision student. If admitted through early decision, you will be required to withdraw all other applications to universities and place your deposit to the university in 72 hours. Regular decision is the method that most students will apply to us through. You have the ability to compare admissions offers, compare financial aid and scholarship offers with early decision, or excuse me, with regular decision. And you can see our notification deadline dates there and the deadline dates overall. We also have a merit scholarship application that is due by December 1st. So if you are applying regular decision or early decision 2 and would like to apply for merit scholarships, you would need to submit an earlier application to us, probably in late October, early November, in order to get access to the scholarship application and apply by that deadline. And then last but not least, would just like to mention our amazing financial aid program that we offer at Vanderbilt. There are 3 prongs to our signature financial aid program, which is Opportunity Vanderbilt. It's made it possible for thousands of students to attend Vanderbilt at an affordable cost for them. The first commitment that we make to students is that we are need blind for US citizens and eligible non-citizens, including DACA and undocumented students in the admissions process. We also will meet 100% of your demonstrated financial need, and we will do that without loans. So I invite you to learn a little bit more about Vanderbilt through visiting us online, visiting us in person, and learning a little bit more as well. And with that, I'm going to go ahead and turn the floor over to our next presenter this evening.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you for the opportunity to engage with you this evening. My name is Grant Goslin. I serve as Dean of Undergraduate Admission and Financial Aid at Boston College, and I'm pleased to tell you a little bit about the university tonight. We're located just 6 miles from downtown Boston in suburban Chestnut Hill, Massachusetts. Picture here is our main campus in the foreground. We have 3 other campuses at Boston College, one that serves the Boston College Law School, one that serves the School for Theology and Ministry, and one that serves a brand new initiative that Boston College will launch in the fall of '24, home to Messina College, which will be a 2-year residential associate's degree program affiliated right with Boston College. So we're thrilled to have these many campuses, but the Chestnut Hill campus is where undergraduates spend their time in class, and the majority of them also spend their time in residence. We were founded in 1863 in downtown Boston, but we moved to the Chestnut Hill campus in 1913. Gaston Hall, as you see in front of you, was the original building, is now home to the Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences. We welcome students from all 50 states, in fact, all 50 states represented in the entering class, 70 countries around the world, and welcome students from all backgrounds that bring their talents with them to the university. At Boston College, we have 4 undergraduate schools or divisions. The Morrissey College of Arts and Sciences is the largest. About 2/3 of students are enrolled there. Students study over 60 majors, everywhere from natural science to social science, to humanities, languages, and the arts. About 25% of our students are enrolled in the Carroll School of Management, one of the top undergraduate business programs in the country, top 10 in both accounting and finance. The Lynch School of Education and Human Development is home to about 5% of our students, with teacher certification programs both at the elementary and secondary level, as well as one of our fastest growing majors at the university in applied psychology and human development. The remaining 5% of our students, about 110 students per year, earn direct entry into the Cannell School of Nursing. Again, one of the top nursing programs in the country. We are very fortunate to be located on the doorstep of one of the world's great cities for many things, including healthcare. And Boston College has partnerships with 85 healthcare facilities in and around the city of Boston. Not only our nurses, but our pre-med students are able to have experiences at world-renowned hospitals like Boston Children's, Mass General, Dana-Farber Cancer Institute, Brigham and Women's, the list goes on. And those types of experiences really enable students to have great preparation as they apply to graduate programs, medical school, and so forth. Within the Cannell School of Nursing, our students have 7 clinical rotations over the course of their 4 years, starting in the second semester of their sophomore year. Boston College is one of 27 Jesuit Catholic universities in the country. If you're not familiar with the Jesuits, quite simply, they're an order of Catholic priests that were founded about 450 years ago by a man named Ignatius of Loyola. And Ignatius really was committed to social justice, and he believed that the greatest force on earth to address issues of social justice was education. And so you'll find colleges and universities and high schools around the world committed to educating students to use their gifts and their talents, certainly for their own personal goals, but also to share those talents with others. It's not required of any student at Boston College to volunteer in the community, but about 85% of our students choose to do so, volunteering over 350,000 community service hours in the city of Boston each year. It's also a community that values faith and spirituality and introspection. We estimate that about 60% of our students were raised in the Catholic tradition. The other 40% perhaps of other Christian denominations or other world religions. Coming to Boston College, we encourage students to think about issues of faith, issues of purpose. And while it's not required that students go to service, we find that most of our students really are interested in developing all aspects of their identity, including their faith journey, with many opportunities for students to explore them at Boston College. Like some of the other schools you've heard, Boston College is an R1 research university. That's a designation limited to the top 3% of universities in the United States in terms of research volume. And our students have incredible resources at their fingertips to engage with faculty in research opportunities. The building you see here is the newest academic center at Boston College, opened just about 18 months ago, a $160 million center for integrated science and technology. It's home to many departments, including computer science, the Shea Center for Entrepreneurship, the new major in global public health, and a new major in human-centered engineering. Our engineers are not interested in developing the next consumer product. They're interested in developing technologies that will impact the human experience, largely focused in areas in human health, energy, and the environment. And the Schiller Institute for Integrated Science and Society has that shared mission. Their institute is designed to bring together students from every major at Boston College that want to solve the world's pressing issues around health, energy, and the environment. Think about the issue of clean water and the lack of access to it in so many parts of the world. Our students are working collaboratively with our chemists learning to treat the water, our engineers learning to build technologies that will take that knowledge and apply it. Our business students are joining those work groups to learn about how to make those technologies profitable and scalable around the world. Students from international relations and political science might be in the room learning to help work through governmental red tape in developing nations that need these services the most. So this ecosystem of solving these problems is complex, and Boston College has been very deliberate in ensuring that undergraduate students are building a network that they'll use for the rest of their careers. As we move to campus resources, there are just countless ways that we support our students. You see a list here that you might be interested in going to learn a little bit more about. Just a few of them come to mind. The Connors Family Learning Center offers free tutoring and support for all students in over 60 subject areas. The Montserrat Coalition is an organization designed to assist students with the largest levels of financial need. Boston College offers exceptional financial aid, but the Montserrat Coalition helps to fill the gaps for those unbilled costs that students experience. Tickets for football games, tickets to shows on campus, a library that loans books so students don't have to buy them in the bookstore. All of these resources are supported by the Montserrat Coalition. The Eagle Exchange Career Network connects our undergraduate students with our alumni community, over 200,000 alumni in the Boston College community, 30,000 of which have signed up to be mentors for undergraduate students, helping them with their career search. And it's a great resource for students there as well. Boston, one of the greatest cities in the world, just 6 miles away, the second largest financial district in the country, second only to New York, an incredible art scene that offers free access to some of the world's top art museums and located in Boston to students that study in the city. A city rich in history. You can walk the Freedom Trail and literally get a lesson in early American history. and a great athletic scene for students as well. When students apply to Boston College, they'll apply under one of two admission plans. We offer early decision, which has 2 rounds, and we offer regular decision. Boston College, like Vanderbilt, accepts the common application and is also a proud member of the Questbridge organization. You'll find that last year, this past cycle, about 36,000 students applied to Boston College, 4,400 applied through early decision, and we had a generous admit rate of about 30%. At this regular decision round, it became quite a bit more selective with 32,000 applications and an admit rate of 13%. One of the big criticisms of early decision programs in this country is that early decision programs tend to benefit families that don't have to worry about cost. And it's a fair criticism. Boston College is really proud to be one of only 21 private universities that is both need blind in our admission process, meaning we're not going to assess a family's ability to pay when we make our admission decision, and we guarantee to meet 100% of the need of U.S. citizens and permanent residents. It's a commitment over $170 million in budget each year, and it's one that we are enormously proud of. Because of that, we offer very few merit scholarships at Boston College. We do have one program known as the Gabelli Presidential Scholarship Award. It offers 18 full tuition scholarships. These students are part of a full program that allows them to engage in international travel, spending their spring breaks in Latin America, in Europe, and in the Middle East, all fully funded by the program, as well as summer experiences focusing on service, internships, and international travel. The only thing you have to do to be eligible for consideration is apply to Boston College by November 1st. You don't have to be an early decision candidate. If you're choosing to apply regular decision, instead of waiting until the January 2nd deadline, we ask you to submit your application in November. And we also do fully consider early decision candidates for that Gabelli Presidential Scholarship. There might be some schools that would say, why would I give an award to a student who's already committed to enrolling? Boston College is looking for the very best students we can find, regardless of which round they apply through. Here's some information to learn more, bc.edu/admission. If you'd like to schedule a visit, bc.edu/visit. And when you're ready to apply, bc.edu/apply. Thanks for listening. It's my pleasure to turn it over at this point to my colleague, Alicia Creighton at UC Berkeley.
Hello, everyone. Wow, what can I say? Same? I'm just kidding. We have so many similarities, but it's my pleasure to speak with you all about UC Berkeley this year for Southern California Outreach. So I do actually reside in Southern California, so I have the best of both worlds. I do want to say that as we've been going through the presentation, my Wi-Fi hasn't been too stable, so I'm going to turn off my camera as I go through the slides. You guys don't need to see me anyway, but I will come back and say hi again towards the Q&A. But let's go ahead and get started. So UC Berkeley was the very first UC campus in the UC system. It started in 1868. That's why we lovingly call ourselves Cal or California. So often when I say this in presentations, there's always a few people who say, I didn't even realize it was the same school. So just so you know, UC Berkeley, Berkeley, California, and Cal, we call ourselves all the same thing. But what we usually always just call ourselves is Berkeley. So that's a big hint, wink, wink. We very rarely ever say UC Berkeley. We just say Berkeley at Berkeley. So feel free to go ahead and just say Berkeley. We are, one of the things, our location is absolutely phenomenal. No matter what you like, whether you like the hustle bustle of a big city or the serenity of nature like myself, there's a little something for you. We're about 25 minutes to 35 minutes, that's that in traffic, you guys, from San Francisco. There's so many opportunities for you to experience world-class museums. Our cruises are amazing. But then if you, again, like the serenity, there are also lots of little pockets. There are just a lot of trees and park-like areas that you can enjoy. So that's something I love about our campus, that we have a little bit for everyone. Another benefit for our area is that there's a lot of companies that our students are able to get internships with. So some of the companies that you guys know, like Uber and Google. Pixar is in Oakland. Did you know that DoorDash was started by a Cal alum? So there's a lot of opportunity for in the area, and that's one of the things that makes Berkeley, Berkeley. Oftentimes people ask me, you know, tell me a lot about what your students, who are your students? What do they look like? Who do they look like? Well, I always think the first thing that comes to my mind is that they're very passionate. Our students stand for something. They really care about their academics. They care about public service and giving back to their communities, and whether it be like their own family or their own community or neighborhood, worldwide, we're talking like nationwide, all the things. So they really do like to give back. They love to find solutions. That's one of the things I love about our students, finding solutions. So just, you know, everything from food insecurities to all different types of ways that we can maybe function better and be better citizens of our earth. So it's just amazing, all the different things that our students are accomplishing right now. Here's like a little screenshot of what our campus kind of demographics look like. So this was not this most recent year, just so you guys know. This is more, I want to say around 2022, 2021, 2022, but the more current stats should be coming out soon. We have a little under 31,000 undergrads. As you can see, the majority of our incoming class is our freshmen. However, we want to change that. We love our transfer students. So I did see in one of the questions, do we look at transfer students? Do we honor transfer students? We want transfer students, absolutely. So just make sure that you contact us and let us know your plans, and we would like to sit down with you. 74% of our students do come from public schools. So that's another thing. A lot of times people think that Berkeley operates as a private institution. We are very, very much a public institution. And I love the fact that over 20 plus languages are spoken on our campus, because I have a thing for language. So I want to talk to you briefly about our colleges. So I'm going to give you just one or two really quick facts that are kind of fun about each of these colleges. Our College of Letters and Science, about 75% of our students are housed within this college. They have a huge arrangement of different majors, everything from biological sciences to math to arts, to everything, social sciences, humanities. So you never know, the major that you might be looking for might be nestled right there in the College of Letters and Science. The College of Chemistry is one of our smaller colleges, and it's very unique, is that's one of the colleges in the nation that actually studies the discipline of chemistry. So that's very unique. It's one of those more competitive colleges to get into, hint, hint, wink, wink, but it's definitely amazing. There's only, I believe, 4 majors at this time in that particular college. The College of Engineering, we have this really cool program called the MET program. It's a managerial entrepreneurial technology program. And so this is where you can have a double major with all of our engineering majors and business. How cool is that? So you'll have a dual major in both of those. So again, that might be something that you can look into. If you don't meet the criteria, if you don't get into that program, you'll still be considered for whatever engineering major that you put on there. So it's a really great program. There is additional or supplemental application process to that. So just prepare for that if you're interested in it. Environmental design. So we are one of the few campuses that still has architecture. So there are several different ways that you can study it. We have our general architecture, we have urban landscape, we have sustainable landscape. There's a lot of different options there. This is one of my favorite colleges. You didn't hear me say that, because this one I love to visit. I love the library there. And so if you're interested in anything architecture, we have it for you. The Resiner College of Natural Resources, this is if you're really interested in the environment. So you'll find things like environmental science, then also too things that have to do with your body. So we have nutritional sciences. So that's also another reason why some of our students will flock to this major, this particular college, if they're interested in a health profession. However, you can major in anything or any major in any of these colleges if you're interested in a health profession. But for some reason, a lot of our students like the majors that are offered in the College of Natural Resources. And then last but not least, our School of Business. It is the second oldest business school in the nation. It is probably our most selecting school or college on our campus. And I'm going to give you a really big hint, hint, wink, wink. If you're interested in business, you have a true interest in business, not just like saying, well, I think business is a good major to go into. You don't want to do that, but you do have a true interest. They have information sessions every year, both fall and spring, and they will go through everything, the whole process of their admissions, of how they go through their admissions. And they give you a lot of really great advice, a lot of tips, some do's and don'ts. So I really highly recommend that you look it up. Just put Haas School of Business undergrad, make sure it's undergrad, information sessions. And so that's my hint, hint, wink, wink. And then what's not on here, which I'm really proud to say, is that we're going to be having a new college, a College of Data Science, that is now going to house both our BA and our Bachelor's of Science computer science majors, and then also our data science majors. So we're super happy about that. We cut ground, searching for a dean. It's really, really great. Another really big thing or a big tip or advice that I want to give you is that guide.berkeley.edu right there. I would take a photograph of that or put it in your, go ahead and just type it in your computer right now. This is a great place to kind of figure out if we have the major that you're looking for or something very similar. You can find out about all of our programs. We have so many majors, you guys, at Berkeley, so many majors that we sometimes can't even put them all in the publication. So, but this guide at berkeley.edu is just a plethora of information. You're going to love it. We have a lot of opportunity for you to do research. Now, remember what research is. It's just basically we're going out to try to figure out how to create something new that's going to help us, or to understand how things are working or functioning. So those are some of the research that you can get involved in. So how wonderful is that you can maybe be a part of the leading edge or the newest invention that's coming out there. So we really encourage you to do that as an undergrad. And we have a one-stop shop for our students. It's a website that you can go to. It's called URAP. Yes, like you and then the word rap, R-A-P. And you can find out a lot of the different places that are a lot of the different professors that are offering different research. One of the things that we try to do is to support our students financially as they are doing internships or research. And so we have this thing called the Haas Scholars, which is really awesome. It's about 20 undergrads that do have a financial need. So I do want to put it out there that it's not a merit-based program though. But it's just to support you in your independent research or your creative project. And you can get up to $13,800 for this particular scholarship. So it's really, really cool. And that's just one of many, many, many. So I do want to keep it going because I know I want to make sure we have enough time for everyone to ask their questions. So like all my colleagues have said, we have theme halls, and all different ways that you can interact with our campus. We are a Division I Pac-12 campus, so our football games are really big to us. I have to admit, as of right now, okay, I won't say it because it is being recorded, but yeah, we do play. Our biggest games though is the one that we play against Stanford. That's our biggest rival. So we always look forward to that game every year. So it's a lot of fun.
Go ahead and transition to our Q&A section. In the same order that the panelists presented, they will choose one question at a time to answer. Panelists, please feel free to piggyback off one another. And just so we all know, Rick Clark will have to hop off at 8:10. So we'll just start with you, Rick.
Okay, great. Let's see. So I was able to answer a decent number of the Georgia Tech specific questions. So I'm trying to look through and just see if there's something else. Also, who else thought that it was oddly, circumstantial that right after she said that Stanford was their biggest rival, her internet went away? I just find that a little curious. I'm just saying. Anyway.
That was very interesting. I thought so too. Thank you for mentioning that. I never talk bad about Stanford ever though. ever.
We're not. I'm just saying, like, somebody, they got like trigger happy out there.
Yeah, they
because
got a little nervous there.
mention the name and bam, you are gone.
I know.
Let's see. Here's one that I'll pick up from the text. Somebody had asked a question around how will college admission processes that our individual institutions change coming out of this recent Supreme Court case surrounding race conscious admission. And I will take a crack at that, and of course welcome my colleagues to go on. Of course, in California, they've been operating because of Proposition 209 for a long time in a kind of not using race to make admission decisions. So I guess you could say in that sense, nothing really changes in California. For the rest of us, where race likely has been used as one of many factors, I guess the big thing I would like to say is, the trope is, and the narrative it is that, these colleges were admitting students because they were Black or because they were Hispanic. And I think everybody on the call tonight can simply say that is patently false. That we were operating under the 45 years of precedent that said it is legal to use race as one of many factors. And there are so many, you heard these admit rates tonight. I mean, there are so many students applying to our individual institutions that we're not making decisions based just on a GPA or just on a test score, just on any one factor. Holistic review means that context and background and opportunities and achievements are taken into account. It also means lots of very qualified, deserving, talented students are not offered admission each year. And so I think the biggest thing that I would just like to say is all of us want to continue to create diverse, vibrant, rich communities, pulling in students from all kinds of backgrounds and all kinds of, with all kinds of different interests, because that's kind of what college is all about. And I think as humans in general, we are better when we are surrounded by people who look different than us, who come from different backgrounds than we do, who have different interests than we do. And college is such a great laboratory for that. And it really propels us all into the world where we have a richer, more deep understanding of what it means to listen to people, to change our mind, to be flexible and open. And so I guess, yeah, there could be some like work around the edges that happen with some of these admission processes, but the goals don't change. The goal of creating a diverse, rich, vibrant community does not change. And certainly my colleagues from UCLA and Berkeley, unless Berkeley talks about Stanford, in which case she'll probably go back off internet, would say the same thing, that that is what we're all trying to accomplish. And so I just wanted to hit on that one. And I'm sure others can do a more articulate job if they'd want to jump in on it, but that's an important point to make.
I'll just say, Rick, I think you put it really well. And I think I know from our standpoint, Vanderbilt University is disappointed with the court's decision. We will follow the law, but just as many of our other partners on this, we are also, very committed to diversity and will continue to be so.
Tamika, if you want to choose our next question.
Sure. I originally marked a question, and I'm so sorry to that person because I'm going to switch my question. But there were a lot of questions regarding dual enrollment credits or, additional college level coursework that students might have and bring with them at the high school level. And I feel like a lot of us can speak to that. So I'm gonna take a stab at that one. But with UCLA, we still consider you a freshman applicant if you have not yet graduated from high school. Even if you have an associate degree by the time you're graduating high school, if during your senior year of high school, you still have not yet graduated and you're applying to us, regardless of the amount of college level credits you might already have, you would still be considered a freshman applicant. It is important to know that at UCLA, we do not pre-evaluate coursework. So we're not going to be able to tell you right away which of your college level courses from another institution have the potential to transfer directly to UCLA. There are some resources online you can utilize. If you're in California, we have what's called assist.org. But if you're an out-of-state student, there's a website called Transferology. Now, these websites can be kind of convoluted, so I don't encourage you to go rush out and look through them and figure out if your coursework transfers. But for the sake of the UC application itself, you can add that additional institution to your application like you would your high school, and you can mark those classes as college level on your application, and that factors into the overall rigor of your application. We kind of weight those courses the same way we would in honors, an AP, and IB course. So it does factor well in the review process for you if you have that higher level coursework as well.
Okay, and our next question, Derek, if you would please take us away with that.
Yeah, sure. So I think this next question is talking a little bit more about demonstrated interest, and we didn't get a lot of questions about that, but we usually do. So I thought it would be a really good one to answer. Grayson on here said that I heard showing interest is very important to colleges, and for that reason, it is recommended to do a college visit to your top schools. This can become very expensive and time consuming, especially for students applying to a music program who will have to travel there to their school choices during an audition. How important is doing an in-person visit actually? And I think, Grayson, you put it perfectly. It can be very costly and expensive and time consuming to visit all the colleges that you might be interested in, especially if your family might not have the funding to be able to do so. And so at universities like Vanderbilt University, we do not take demonstrated interest into account when making admissions decisions. And that is stated very clearly on our website as well. For a music student, however, if selected from the pre-screening application, so you will have to submit a pre-screen kind of recording of yourself. And so if selected from the pre-screen, you would need to come to campus for an audition. If for whatever reason you are not able to, there are, you can communicate with our Blair School of Admissions, and they may be able to find a workaround for you. But we're really encouraging all of our students for this admission cycle in the Blair School of Music to do their auditions in person. But again, if you're not competitive enough to pass that pre-screen, we're not going to have you come to campus just for, you know, fun. We're only going to bring those that we're seriously considering for a spot in one of the studios to campus to audition in person. And then outside of that, again, just we don't use demonstrated interest. So we'd love for you to come and visit our campus and see all the things that we have to offer, see our campus in action, especially in the fall and the spring. But if you are not able to do so, that is perfectly fine. And we admit students every single year, and a lot of students every single year that have never visited our campus until after they've been admitted. So.
I had a question where someone asked, what is campus ministry and what does that mean for undergraduate students at Boston College? And it's a great question. I think if you were to survey our students, one of the things that they would talk about first in talking about Boston College is community. And community is a word you'll hear on all of our campuses, no doubt, because it manifests itself in different ways, right? Students are in this process of developing and growing over the 4-year period that they're in college. I would argue probably at a more rapid pace than any period outside infancy, where all these things are at play. Students are dealing with their independence. Students are dealing with meeting people from different backgrounds and different perspectives. Campus ministry is an office on campus that really seeks to provide support for students in community. Father Tony Penna is the director, and he spoke with our orientation families earlier this week, and he told a story about one of his least favorite phrases, and that is put your best foot forward. And he talked about the fact that at Boston College, we focus on your weak foot, all right? We focus on helping you develop those areas that perhaps you're not as proud of, you're not as strong in, you're a little apprehensive about. And we're going to help you develop those. And we do that in a variety of different ways. The campus ministry office coordinates our retreat programs on campus. About 80% of our students are actively engaged in a retreat, at least one retreat during their time on campus. They're secular or non-secular programs. They offer many pastoral services. We have support groups for students who have lost parents, as one example, giving them a place to come in community to talk about the challenges that they're facing, whether that's a new loss or one that's been with them for some time. Clearly, there are weekly services on campus around faith and religion. Those are supported as well by campus ministry. So it's this central office that is designed to provide support for all Boston College students.
Thank you for that. Alicia, if you'll answer our next question.
Yes, sorry about that, everyone. I was getting to the good part too about financial aid and admissions, which is my question that I'm going to actually answer. I see that I'm going to actually take a question for my colleague here, my sister school, because we tend to be very similar, not the same, but very similar. But the question is, what does UCLA look at in when they're looking to admit a student? And so we are looking, if I can give you the best advice, is just to be yourself, to be your authentically unique self. And don't, when you're writing like your personal insight questions, make sure that you are telling us from your heart and not what you think you want us to hear, right? So the application itself is an opportunity for us to get to know you better. So just imagine that every time I read an application, I'm picking up a blank canvas. And every question that you answer, I'm able to like paint a picture of like who you are and like all the wonderful things that you've accomplished while you've been in high school. So just think of it that way, and that you're giving us all your accomplishments, all the things that make you you. You're giving us a little bit more contextual background about you, your family, and how your background, and all of those things are things that we really take into consideration and that we honor. And so when you're writing, another thing for the personal insight questions, oftentimes people don't really dig deep, and so everybody kind of sounds the same, and we just hear the same thing. And just think of it as an interview on paper. Just imagine you and I are at a coffee shop, and I have my drink of choice, you have your drink of choice, and I ask you, tell me something amazing about you. Tell me about you, right? What are you gonna say? You're like, what do you mean? What I like to eat? Like, what do you mean? So just think about these PIQs, the personal insight questions, as guides to help us understand you a lot better, right? And then after you write your personal insight question, ask yourself, is this the most amazing thing about me? Or is this the most amazing accomplishment that I can write about? And if the answer is no, then don't write about it, you guys. Don't write about it. Don't write about it because you think it's what we're expecting. No. Write what makes you proud, what makes you happy, and what the accomplishment that is most important to you. And then you're going to stand out. I promise. Okay. So remember, we are called admissions counselors, admission, not rejection counselors. Okay, we are not looking to reject you. I'm actually looking and hoping to admit you. Give me all the colors. Give me all the things that I can make your canvas. Okay. Hopefully that's helpful, and that it can alleviate a little stress from you. Oh, and by the way, for all my lovely rising seniors, the application for the UC and the CSU opens August 1st. That's a little less than 2 weeks away, friends. Dun, dun, dun. Or actually, woo! So start getting your transcripts ready. Start, rereading your personal insight questions. Okay. And I do want to say that Berkeley does want to connect with you. So please make sure I'll put somewhere, hopefully, well, I know your counselors will have all of the information to get in contact with us. So please stay in contact with us, especially because I didn't get it to finish. We do want to talk to you. And then we have the most amazing Instagram. So I encourage you guys to check it out. Thank you for that little extra segue, you guys, panelists.
I believe Rick Clark is just about to hit the time that he needs to hop off. So I will go ahead and ask Jamika Williams if she will answer our next question. Thank you, Rick, for joining us.
Okay, well, I will circle back to that question I skipped over the first time, which is a little bit more specific, but I'll open it up. A student had a question about not fulfilling the visual and performing arts requirement for the UC application, and I'll talk a little more broadly about that as well. I think especially for both in-state and out-of-state students, you should keep in mind that you can still apply even if you don't necessarily meet everything to the letter, but you want to keep in mind you do run the risk of being less competitive in the admission process. So you want to do as much as you can to meet as many of the requirements or go beyond requirements as you can, so that way you increase your overall competitiveness and keep yourself in the race. But I also really emphasize to students that freshman admission is not the only way to get to our university. We do also admit transfer students. So keep in mind all of your options as well.
Derek, if you'd like to answer our next question.
Yeah, sure. So I had a question in here from Jada, who asked, can you apply by college, or do you have to apply to a certain program when submitting your application? And do you guarantee housing for freshmen? So I can answer the second question really quickly. You are required to live on campus all 4 years at Vanderbilt. So yes, your housing is guaranteed, and you will live in the Commons area, which is specifically for our first year students. You'll live in one of the 10 houses in the Commons, and you'll live in the exact same room as everyone else. All the rooms are exactly the same in the Commons, so there's no differentiation between that first year living experience on our campus. And yes, so you will apply to either a particular college or major within the College of Arts and Science and the School of Engineering. You are applying just to the college itself. For the Peabody College of Education and Human Development, you're applying directly into a major. And then for the Blair School of Music, you're applying directly into a studio / major. So whatever instrument you're playing, or for vocals, you're applying directly into one of those.
I saw a question earlier on, it got buried, I think, or maybe somebody had answered it, but it was a question I think that is more of a general question, and it had to do with what being an R1 research university does for undergraduate students. How does that benefit undergraduate students? And I think it benefits all undergraduate students, regardless of whether they intend to do research themselves. I think first and foremost, it signals that the university is committed to furthering knowledge through research, committed to making an impact in the world through discovery. And I think that says a lot about the institution's commitment to the student experience. I'll speak specifically at Boston College. We're a medium-sized undergraduate university. So 9,500 of our students are undergraduates. We have 5,000 graduate students, but all of our faculty outside of the law school teach undergraduate students. And all of our faculty are, when they go for tenure, they are awarded tenure equally based on teaching and research. And so regardless of whether all faculty teach undergrads or not, if you go to an R1 research university, you're studying with faculty who are not only doing the research, but then engaged with the undergraduate population. And I think that really does benefit all students. At BC, about a third, about 35, close to 40% of our students will do research as undergraduates. There are a lot of students that have no interest in doing research. They want to go on and do internships, and almost 90% of our students have at least one internship during their time, or maybe they're studying nursing or education and they're in clinicals or practicum experiences. And so they're not looking for these research opportunities. But you generally, I think, will find at R1 universities that are focused on undergraduate education are an incredible commitment to access to those opportunities for undergraduate students.
And Alicia, if you would like to answer our last question for us.
Yes, I'm sorry, I lost it too. Oh my goodness. Where is it? If someone else sees one, I don't want to hold us up. where did it go? I think, oh no, it's already been asked. I think I want to, okay, so I noticed that there were still a lot of questions about the test scores. So maybe if we can all go around again and just kind of just mention like whether or not what score or what test that we do, you know, kind of accept and which ones we don't. So I'll go ahead and start for Berkeley. We are test free when it comes to the SAT and the ACT, so the SAT and the ACT. So don't even try to be sneaky and put them in there because I can't take it into consideration. However, I do want to be clear that we do still look at and take into consideration any AP exams and IB exams, so IB at higher level. So I don't want you to think that we are not looking at any testing. We do look at some testing, but just not the SAT and the ACT. Okay.
I guess I'll go ahead and go. So for students applying for fall of 2024, which would be our rising seniors, we are test optional. Beyond that, I do not have an answer for you just yet, but basically meaning you can submit either the SAT or the ACT, or you do not have to submit a test at all. We do not penalize students for not submitting a test, and we don't look at their applications negatively. We're always using the lens of positive advocacy when viewing applications. So if you don't submit one, not a big deal at all. And we do also at Vanderbilt, you are able to self-report your test scores on the application, and we also super score as well. And then to Alicia's point, we also allow you to report your AP scores to us too. And then of course, if you're in the Cambridge system, you can report that to us as well. We're happy to take a look at all those scores too.
Like Vanderbilt, Boston College is operating under a test optional admission plan for the upcoming admission cycle. We will accept the SAT or the ACT if you choose to submit it. And test optional, it really just gives students the opportunity to add another credential to their application if they feel it will benefit them. And I think it's a good idea to think about your scores in context for the school to which you're applying, but also in context from the school from which you're coming, right? So Boston College students, the students we admit generally are scoring quite well, typically in the 1400s, 1500s. But there may be a student on the lower end of our range that feels they don't want to submit because it might not look all that good. But they might be coming from a high school where the average SAT is 1,000 and they are, an outlier at their school. And we look at that context too. So just as you're assessing our schools and whether you might fit, we're assessing your performance from the backgrounds from which you've come. Boston College also requires English language proficiency for international students who are non-native speakers studying outside the US. And we would require for those students either the TOEFL, the IELTS exam, or the Duolingo exam.
Similar to UC Berkeley, we are also test-free at UCLA. We do not require SAT or ACT scores for admission or scholarship purposes. For international applicants who, again, their language of instruction is a language other than English, you are required to, again, submit English language proficiency. We utilize those same 3 exams as well. International students who may be on a specialized curriculum, there may be some exam scores that we require of you depending on your curriculum, but all of that is available on our website as well if you want to take a closer look at the particulars.
Well, thank you all so much. Thank you to our panelists for giving us all this great information, and thank you to our members for joining us tonight. There will be a recording posted on our website. It'll be about 24 to 48 hours after this webinar that is posted. So please be sure to check out that if you missed something or if you just wanted to relive this wonderful experience. And thank you all again. Have a great night, and thank you for coming.
Oh, and Camilla, since I broke off in mine, I'll send you one of our videos that we already have pre-recorded. So it might not be the one from this evening, but you'll have a pre-recorded one so you can learn more about Berkeley. So I'll give that to you guys.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Have a great night, everyone.